call order, please.
Rosanna Glenn,
Here.
Shannon Hughes-Brown.
Here.
Matt Blanchett,
Here.
Ken Cleveland,
Here.
Ken Jackson,
Here.
Blaze Messenger,
Here.
John Post,
Here.
Heather Jacobs,
Here.
Jessica Lamb,
She'll be here in a little bit.
okay, Lynn McKinney, Selena Kelleher, Alan Schumann, Joe Costa, Joe Culata,
Here.
and Tom DeMaro.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Did you get Jack?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Jack, but guess he came in, it was sorry.
That's all right. Agenda, any changes, discussion? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Ken. Is there a second?
Second.
Please, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Anyone abstaining? Did you vote, Shannon? Do you want to vote?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
I was trying to look up the comment.
That's all right.
Email box and it's not loading.
Okay. Minutes, y'all have, you all have your minutes in front of you. If you haven't read them, you could take a minute. Mr. Blanchett, I'm going to look to you.
No, I had looked at last week, I checked.
Okay. Any other discussion, changes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from September 27th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. John, you're abstaining. Anyone else abstaining? Okay, motion carries. Anyone here for public comments? And do we have any submittals?
We have no submissions.
And no one here. Okay. All right. Couple of things I wanted to update. Really quickly, there has been some side discussion with Board of Ed on the windows. So just to keep it short, we're looking for an estimate on windows that would open fully on the first floor and a ventilation cutoff system for said windows.
I don't think one exists.
They don't exist?
What's that?
Cannot cut off. Ventilation.
You can't turn off AC in one room? They're not separated zones?
I think what was discussed was the potential impact from having open windows and the air conditioning running. And if
Yeah, I
we,
thought someone brought up last
and
time
if we
that-
have humid air coming into the room, that could throw things off. I know with chill beams, you got to put kill switches on the windows, so it turns off the chilled water. With the system we have here, it's not quite the same, but there may be some sort of interlock that's necessary. If there is an interlock necessary, the conversation would include having some sort of sensor on the window that would then stop the cooling so that we don't end up having rain fall in the classroom.
Could I ask the question, why is this coming up now?
It's been an ongoing discussion, but there's concern, so I don't want to get into it too much, but one of our other schools, WIS, across the street that way, their AC died, and they needed a way to get air into the room, so they opened up. They don't have windows that open over there, right, Selena? WIS doesn't have open
Can I
windows there.
add something to that? If we open windows and we get moisture inside with air conditioning, that causes condensation,
Right.
which causes mold,
No.
M-O-L-D.
No, I know. So this
So,
is not a
I'm just
question
saying,
of.
I just don't want okay.
Okay, this
go
is
ahead.
not a question of ventilation. We're not
Right.
approving windows for ventilation. We're approving windows for two scenarios.
Yeah.
One is a secondary exit,
Mhm.
and if the AC were to die
Yeah.
completely, and you can't turn AC, and so the AC's dead, no air is moving, they want an ability to open up windows.
So a window as a secondary.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
a redundancy system they're
Gotcha.
looking for. They want a redundant system.
Just want to clarify though.
Yeah, so that redundant system is going to be used for ventilation.
Right, so
Which
the only
is-
way to prevent that was A, which it looks like we can't do, is cut off the ventilation, or B, put a silent alarm on each of the windows like you have at your home, so that if someone opens a window, someone in the office knows and can go figure out why they opened a window.
A lot of wiring back on the main line.
It would be a lot of wiring, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I need a ROM estimate, like
And
ballpark figure for
The,
that.
the sensor, I thought, was suggested by CES. Is that correct? John, wasn't that in your email?
No, the email, I gotta look it up, but I think the email said they would have to add sensors to the windows.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of the original.
Yeah, it was recommended. Right, so,
Right.
so
They'd have to
I'm
add
just
'em.
looking for a ROM estimate, ballpark figure. How much would it cost? So I can bring it back to the BOE and ask them if that's if that's what they want to spend that funding on.
What's the definition of fully open?
Enough for someone to exit out of the window. Only on the first floor. Second floor you can't because it'll be a hazard.
Okay, we've got two different and somewhat competing conversations. The first is to have the windows in the classrooms, a window or windows in each classroom, openable for supplemental ventilation if the system dies.
Right.
By code, those windows are limited to opening only 4 inches so that nobody can fall out the window.
Yep.
So that's step one, and that was the type of opening that we had several months ago before we VE'd that out.
Right.
The secondary thing would be an escape window. Escape window has to open fully, and there are restrictions on the fact that you don't have to have special knowledge or special tools in order to open it.
Yep.
Frankly, I don't know from the typical commercial window manufacturers that we work with in the school market whether they've got hardware that satisfies both of those conditions.
Okay.
So it may be that one window can be your escape window, and I don't know what the protocols are as far as keeping that closed so that nobody that shouldn't open it opens it and falls out. And then, having the balance of the windows or another different window that would open for ventilation. So it
But,
could be kind of
yeah.
a multi-part answer to that question.
So either way, these windows are not open for day-to-day ventilation. These windows would only open in an emergency case with AC dies and they need to ventilate.
Okay, so when the AC dies, one thing that was good during COVID was we learned how to work from home. So why can't the Board of Ed consider working from home
It's a whole-
if they close the school?
Because it's a completely different teaching strategy for the teachers. They'd have to read, that's not,
Well, it was a different work strategy for me too, and we all figured it out.
teaching's a little different, Ken. You have to, I wouldn't suggest that. That takes a lot more planning to.
Well, they
to
did
teach
it.
from home.
Roseanne, I just have one question
Yeah.
about the egress. Is the egress, if there is an intruder in the building, or is it a different purpose for the egress? Could you just explain that so I
can't.
understand it?
I can't explain it here, but we can talk about that after the fact if
Okay.
you wanted to.
Okay. That way I can, direct the team appropriately to do some research on that.
Basically, I guess to Jack's point, we would want to know, okay, if you had just the 4-inch opening windows or the full opening windows on the first floor, just 4-inch windows on the second floor, adding the sensors in, all the engineering that has to go behind it, obviously the cost of the windows themselves. Is there even hardware that exists that would supplement that kind of design? And just like a raw, ROM estimate, ballpark figure.
In the days before it was mandated that schools be sprinklered, we had to have escape windows. So it is something that has happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's something that we got away from. And now with the further code restriction about the windows only opening 4 inches, it kind of changes the tune from what we used to do, a couple decades ago.
Yeah,
So it'll have to be figured out.
Clearly this is they want a redundant system, right?
Yeah.
We have systems. I don't want anyone thinking that we're building a very safe building. They just want redundancy in the design.
We'll also have to look at the size of the windows because I'm not sure if they were previously designed to be emergency escape windows. So we'll have to check that part of the code to see the opening size.
Like I said, if factor all of that into your estimate. All right. The other thing I wanted to bring up was yesterday we had a meeting with the town. Everyone was there. We had town engineer, we had a town manager there, Dr. Macri was there, Jessica, Heather and I were there, Jack, Newfield, and Stu Popper,
Public Works.
Spina, with town engineer yet, John was there,
Police.
police chief and finance. Gosh, you guys are good. You have it figured
John
out.
Ireland was there?
No. Sharon was there.
Oh, okay.
And then and James Dimitriadis is there. I think that's all of them. Anyways, we had a discussion about the construction site entrance. So after our last meeting, we went to the planning and zoning. I think it was after our last meeting, planning and zoning. And what we thought was going to be a pretty easy discussion about final approval of our plan was met with some resistance. The town had met the prior Friday after our last building committee meeting and had raised concerns about using the access point off of Watchers Park Road. Long story short, yesterday, after much discussion and debating kind of all the pros and cons of both entrance points, we all decided to use the Watchers Park Road entrance as we had last planned to off of Gear Street, going 700 feet up Watchers Park Road, just past the Boy Scout Lodge, and then hang a right into the property. The condition associated with that is that the town wants us to install a 5-foot wide cement sidewalk along that road up until that point of the Boy Scout Lodge. The reason for that is the concern that they had with us using that road is that there's a lot of pedestrians on that road during the day, mothers walking their kids, people jogging up and down the road, whatnot. And they were worried that with all the traffic that they would not have a safe passage down that road. So we had talked about, if we put a fence in, if we put a little gravel path, but the rules, I guess, are if you force pedestrians down a path, then you have to put in an ADA compliant walkway for them, which means you have to put in a sidewalk. So, we looked at the cost of installing the sidewalk versus having a flagger full time for 2.5 years, and the flagger would have been much more expensive than putting a sidewalk in. So it just seemed like a no-brainer. So ultimately what we decided was to use that road and then install the sidewalk. The sidewalk would be on the right side of the road, so on the baseball field side. And it would be ADA compliant. It would go all the way up until the Boy Scout Lodge and stop there. And then that should provide safe walking space for pedestrians. And then the trucks can go away from the Gear Street entrance, which I was really, really worried about because, we're talking about middle school and not the brightest kids. They're very curious and, like traffic going this way and kids are just going to go, I just saw a disaster happening there. So I'm really happy that we moved away from that Gear Street entrance.
I understand the sidewalk need, but I just wonder why we would put it on the right side of the
That's
road.
what I was thinking too.
Because we've got construction traffic entering
Turning
on that
right.
side. Why not put it on the opposite side?
Is it because of the residences on the other side?
There
or-
is no room on the left-hand side. So on the right, so on the right-hand side, they're actually going to put it on top where the grass is now.
Yeah.
We have this huge grass strip there. On the left-hand side, it's that person's property is up against the road, so you wouldn't have.
So there's no issue with the trucks turning right there, even though the people have to continue across that?
There's going to be a lot of signage
Okay.
and lights and stuff and whatever that's going to,
And will this sidewalk be permanent after the building's done? It'll
yeah,
stay?
it'll be permanent. And it should be reimbursable since it's required to build the site, so it's on the parcel as well.
That's on the parcel. That's our hope. The thought was originally to do a temporary asphalt sidewalk and then remove it afterwards. The town said that town standards for sidewalks are to be concrete, not asphalt.
Yep.
And we thought by the time you put in a temporary asphalt walk and then remove it and restore the grass afterwards, you're probably in the ballpark of doing it right the first time with concrete and making it an asset to the park.
I think we estimate around 50K-ish for the sidewalk.
Ish.
Ish.
Again,
around
we have some impediments to work around between trees and light poles and pole boxes for the field lights and things like that. So I don't want to put out a hard number at this point.
Yeah.
It'll be,
But we don't have to install
50
lights,
plus.
right? We're just using lights that are there now.
right, when I say light pole, it's the existing infrastructure that's there around the baseball fields.
Yeah.
We're not planning to light that section, no.
No. Okay, good.
Can you just remind me, like, when we originally went to P and Z, I think there was like 2 trips for it. Did we get, we had gotten planning and zoning approval for the site plan, right? Which was inclusive of,
We took an action to define the construction point entrance.
as an aside, but there was an approved site plan, right? Because that was one of the conditions to be able to
Matt, there
you know,
were
file.
conditions, and one of the conditions talked about reconciling this site access
Right.
issue.
It's approval
Okay.
with the condition that we figured out with the town what to do.
So there'll be a return trip to zoning next Tuesday night, and hopefully this will all be behind us.
Why can't this be administrative?
Yeah, actually, that's why I thought, like, the way you asked, like, or someone had asked, do we have to come back here next
Did we
Tuesday?
have to
I
go
thought they
back?
said.
We asked that in the meeting yesterday, and we were told we have to go back.
They did say that, okay,
Because that's
'cause I
different than
thought-
what I had heard from
Why,
the planning
I
and
don't know,
zoning.
but-
Yeah. I thought they just said, Stuart said if we all can agree
Yeah, I
amongst
thought-
Oh, you know
us,
why?
but-
Because it's the sidewalk. Because the sidewalk,
Oh.
it has to do
Oh,
with the sidewalk.
yeah. That's
That's
right.
what,
Not the entrance part of it, but the sidewalk
the
part of it.
sidewalk piece has to go back to P and Z.
Okay.
Then one more question. Did anyone ask, like, what couldn't they have just said, like, a sign that says no pedestrian access?
Yeah, I did ask that question, and they said, good luck have anyone following that sign.
I
It's
just,
like-
I
it's like-
just feel like they're taking advantage of a situation to add a sidewalk they wanted.
I think there can be that
I
too.
mean,
yeah,
like
it's
to
gonna be
I
an
like to
asset
look
the
at this
town,
as
but-
kind of a win for us because we wanted that entrance. It's much safer than using the Gear Street entrance, and the cost savings. I mean, if we had to pay for a flagger, because we would have had the police chief said you would have to use a flagger, and you don't have a flagger for 2 hours a day. You have a flagger for a full day, for 2.5 years or whatever it is, 2 years.
I
I
still
just don't get what's the purpose of the sidewalk?
It's because
to
there
make-
are pedestrians there. You need to provide them safe walking
Not
path.
if you, well, yeah. I guess
Oh,
if you put no
okay.
pedestrian access during construction, then that's
But you can't cut off the park.
You can't.
it's not cut off to vehicular traffic. It would just be cut off to
Yeah, but
pedestrian.
you-
We're cutting off access to the soccer field.
can't
We're
do
going to
that.
put a
I don't think you
put a
can do
building
that.
on top of it for 2 years. So people are going to have to get uncomfortable. But I'm not arguing. Intern, I know.
I'm-
You guys tried to get it, but the next time we talk about 50 grand and something kind of in the future, I'm just going to remember. Hey, well, we just said, 50 grand. We'll just do this.
Like I said,
That's all.
it's cheaper than having a flagger off a Gear
I
Street.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wasn't
know.
even thinking of that as.
And if this is the
second
only
or after.
concession that allowed them to approve it, then
And then just make sure, because I went by there today to look at, like, the space where people park. Like, people park on that outfield.
Right.
People back trucks up there and put their lawn chairs out
Oh,
and watch
yeah.
the baseball games. Like, I
But
guess
the
maybe
town
they'll
do-
hop the curb, but
The
The town
town
doesn't
doesn't
want
want
people-
people parking there, so this
this works
It-
out well
yeah,
for them.
it works out.
there
beneficial.
was about 10 cars parked there this afternoon for using the soccer field. So,
There won't be.
yeah, I know.
There
So
won't
people
be
just have
shortly.
to.
I can't
Why
wait
are they-
to I
why are
can't
they-
wait to get up on that curb.
Why would they park there for the soccer field?
Because the soccer field has that. The soccer field's at Wiss.
A Wiss, oh,
Have
okay.
that decent sized parking lot, but not enough for the
I
volume
don't
of
know
kids
why
that
that
are there.
parking lot's like
so I
3
think they
times
just
the
park,
size.
there. But
Anyways,
Okay.
yeah,
any other discussion on that, or we can move on? Okay. All right. Oh, I forgot to cut off item 6. There's no joint meeting with the BOE topics,
oh yeah.
so no topics today.
I make a motion to delete item 6 from the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Communications.
All right, so this past week we added our building committee newsletter to the Cromwell Middle School weekly newsletter that goes out. And as there are construction updates or traffic flow updates, we will get those to Mrs. Cochillo to add to that newsletter. On social media, we also launched our Be Aware graphic. We didn't have any information in there because there is an activity on the site, but just to let folks know, like, this is what you want to look for and keep an eye out for. And then our next meeting is October 25th, so before our next building committee meeting, and we'll be discussing the groundbreaking. I like that little signage on social. You guys came up with that quick. That was like lightning fast. Design subcommittee, Heather?
I really have nothing other than I've been in communication with Mr. Penny about the site because it did interfere with cross country, but
right.
because of all the issues and delays, cross country will be done before anything happens. So he was happy and everything's fine there. And the only other thing is that I provided Perkins with the CMS SOAR kind of documentation from the handbook as to what it means and kind of the motto of the school, so they have that and can run with that for some of the design elements.
Were they supposed to present graphics before this meeting?
I haven't had any meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't scheduled that yet.
Okay.
Not sure when we want to do that. But with this new information, I'll talk to Mike and Lindsay and see if that.
There's probably no urgency for that, right? I mean, that's like
No.
painting walls. That's like the last thing you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you. And then Perkins. Quick meeting today.
Good evening, everyone. Short presentation today.
Is your mic on?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we have an update from the PCR meeting that happened on Friday. Schedule update, meetings, and next steps. So PCR went pretty well on Friday. So you have to still get the local official signatures. I think we're just missing the building inspector's signatures on the SCG 042, the 3030, which is the code certification, and on the drawings and specs. We had some comments from Andrea for the specifications, which will require update to the table of contents. We'll be adding the soils management plan, which we received right before the PCR. We're adding the hazmat investigation reports to the project manual. We had a comment from her on our roofing warranty language. So she wanted to be all-inclusive, edge-to-edge protection, which we have, but we're going to spell it out explicitly. And then we had a couple front-end items for Newfield to adjust in the bid form, I think. And what was the other? Was that the only?
The trash language. The
Oh,
dumpster language.
and the language about the dumpsters in
Real
the front
important
end. She had a couple comments on a couple of our details, minor comments, one structural detail relative to the radon pit, and also on the mechanical drawings, that one other radon change. That was a small note change. She also wanted us to add some signage to our carbon monoxide sign. So, well, we've already taken care of all those items. Other items that we had to revise was our architect scope letter update, which was updating the referendum info that we had a second referendum. She wanted that in the scope letter, our phasing and the unit prices. We also had a small update to our systems narrative to include the standpipe. Open items, the plumbing fixture modification is still pending OSBI approval. I did try calling them today. I got a message that said, please email us. So I did. So still pending. We have submitted for OSTA. We're waiting for approval on that, and that is going to take about 6 weeks, is from what I'm hearing, up to 3 months. So we're waiting for OSTA approval, which is the traffic approval. And then planning and zoning conditions of approval. Andrea wanted sign off on our conditions of approval. So we'll be submitting that once we now finalize the site plan logistics. Any questions?
Is for that first one is the building inspector, do you need our assistance in getting that, or is that we're comfortable that we're moving in the right
For
direction?
the plumbing mod, the local inspector has already processed the paperwork. It is now up at the state building
Okay.
inspector's office. I was meeting with them on
That's
other.
that top one, local official signatures?
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
that just sounded like it
That's-
was local to
Oh,
Cromwell.
no.
Yes, that is. It is.
That is local to Cromwell, and all those documents are in a DocuSign process, and the building official is the last one to sign off. So if today other signatures were received, it'll be in his inbox tomorrow for him to sign off.
Yeah, Emily reported that everybody else has signed off on it as of last night.
Okay. So for the plumbing fixture mod, that won't prevent us from going out to bid. Obviously, we want that solidified before the permit gets issued. State building inspector was in a meeting I attended this afternoon and mentioned that they're still in the hiring process of trying to fill some empty seats up there, and acknowledge that there is a significant backlog on modifications, for everybody, not just for us. So this particular issue with the plumbing is essentially a rubber stamp approval. It's something that was chosen not to be written into the text of the code, but something that is a regular, just about every school applies for it. So it's a very easy approval once it gets on somebody's desk.
Will the OSTA approval delay going out to bid?
It shouldn't delay going out to bid. My understanding is it could delay getting building permit though, because it's a permit application from the State Traffic Authority. Yeah, so SLR has been in contact with them. They submitted the application. They explained the situation of the site. And part of the delay in getting this application was getting the determination from OSTA that the site had to go through their approval process because of the nature of the site and the parcel. They're viewing all the parcels as one property instead of just the school property being bisected by a town road. So that determination took a while after the planning and zoning approval.
Any other questions? Okay.
So schedule, we are past the PCR meeting and we're gathering the last bits of documentation to get sign off and approval to go to bid from OGA.
Is this schedule still accurate for
It's
when we're starting everything in January?
No, it's not. We're at least a couple of weeks out from that, January 2nd.
Oh,
We're at least a couple of weeks out from the January 2nd start at this point.
And then we talked about yesterday the whole sidewalk thing with the temperatures dropping. What's the urgency to get those in?
Yeah, there's definitely an urgency to get this approved and priced up and installed before it gets too cold.
Can we start that process in parallel to the P&Z approval, or no?
Well, we're going to need a formal design. Right now, all they have is a sketch that shows where the sidewalk is. So that's, I don't know if you have any idea of the timeline for that.
we have to talk to our consultants that we just heard about this afternoon. So we've emailed them, and I have to follow up with them tomorrow on it. Likely we'll have a proposal request for the design of the sidewalk.
Okay. Seems like it should be a relatively easy thing to draw up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No.
Yeah, and just for your awareness, the town council did just hear the proposal. The town manager shared with him there were no questions or comments on the proposal, so I think that's good news. One thing Tony did mention is that I think when we left the meeting yesterday, the sidewalk was going to be on the right side. They may move it to the left side.
Okay, we need to know that, though.
Yes, so in terms of timing, we need to get, what's that?
They've changed it like a couple times already. Let's get on the ball.
I
So
thought
they
they
just
Maybe a
mentioned
little
that
more, a few
30
more
minutes
trees
ago.
to cut, but the
They
trees
made it
on the
sound like
right
there was
are
no
huge.
space on the left-hand side.
A couple of them.
So we'll get them that information that
Yes,
you need.
that would be
When,
helpful.
yeah, when
yes.
would we know
Just
that? by?
sharing everything I just learned.
Okay.
So
Breaking
Jack-
news. Breaking
Yeah.
news.
Late breaking news. Yes.
Jack, can you follow up with Stuart tomorrow? Because he wants to talk to you. Okay.
Oops. Did I click? No. So meetings to occur. So we had the PCR meeting on the 29th, and then the building theme for interior graphics to be determined still. So we will have that in the next month or so, hopefully.
Just one quick one on the sidewalk. That would be awarded to, as a change order to the existing site guy? Okay.
If
Yes,
it
that's
is-
the plan.
If it is on the left-hand side, though, that would no longer be reimbursable, right? Because that's outside of the parcel,
Parcel goes to the property.
which is up to the road.
The far side of the road is on the property.
Oh, it is?
Property line is by the residences.
Oh, okay. I thought it was up to the road.
And next steps for us are OGA approval and issuing for bid.
Okay. Newfield. Do you have anything to present?
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay. And then Jack.
Thank you. All right, tonight's presentation includes update on payment documentation that the state is now requiring. They changed the process again. We'll look at a ad service request from Perkins about the soil management plan, which was necessitated by finding some dirt that needed to be handled. That has something that they had submitted a while back, and somehow it missed the last package. And then the financials for both projects and our invoices. The Office of Grants Administration has recently changed the documentation that they're requiring in order to process grant payment requests. We had submitted one some time ago. It did not see action, and between then and now, they changed the form work, so Emily had to go back and resubmit based on the new forms. They're asking for not only a summary of invoices, they want checks. They want checks or other payment records that show that the town actually paid the bill, not just that there was an invoice received in the period that the drawdown would cover. So now that's going to be an additional burden on the town to produce every time we draw down, which is no more frequently than every 2 months. And generally, from a cash flow perspective, unless there's very little activity, we will draw down every 2 months. So that is going to cause a little more effort on a bi-monthly basis in order to get our grant payments. As I say, we have to abide by the gold rule. They who have the gold make the rules. So this is just another iteration of that reality.
Is the finance director aware of these changes?
I believe, Emily's been sharing that with Sharon, or shortly will. Master budget summary is included. Contingencies have not changed since the last meeting. And the expenses, any payments made by the town through June 30th are reflected. So you have copies of this in your file, and why does what I have in hard copy look different than the slide? I think she may have changed format on something on me. Here we go. Did I miss a page? I turned 2 pages, sorry. So we have the master budget summary, expended to date. We've paid about $1.8 million, almost $1.9 million in middle school project funds, with encumbrances for all of our fees and Newfield's general conditions. So there's still almost $2.5 million of the encumbrance that hasn't been spent. And the uncommitted funds are just short of $64 million. Turning next to the contingencies, again, these numbers haven't changed from the last time. The only new item that would be coming out of owner's contingency would be increase number 6 to Perkins for the soil management plan for the value of $6,080 for their environmental consultant to produce the documents that explain to the bidders how to handle the soil that was encountered when we did the soil borings. Looking at central admin, again, we'll follow the same drawdown practice with that grant. It is large enough dollar value that we can make progress payments. Below a certain value, the state limits you to a mid-project, end-of-project drawdown. But since we're of a slightly larger value here, we can draw progressively. Again, no changes in contingencies and all expenses through September 30th. And just short of $4 million yet to be encumbered on the project. Accordingly, to our cost share, there's a slice of increase number 6 to Perkins that belongs to the central admin portion of the work. That slice of the pie is $300. So I guess first we would need
We already approved that, right?
I don't believe that there was motion in previous meetings to approve the soil management plan ad service. The total.
Yeah. We did that during virtual Zoom meeting. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Okay, Lisa, could you check through the minutes? Because I think Emily went looking for it and she wasn't coming up with it. So.
Wasn't it like the joint meeting? The Board of Ed was there for like the first part.
Yeah, that was what. It's impressive. It's
June
impressive.
27th, perhaps.
Wow.
I'm just really good like that.
All right, while she's doing that, the last page is what the new invoices are, right?
Yes, invoices received to come into the packet included Arcadis, total of $31,550. That includes consultant billing. Pre-con for Newfield for the middle school in the amount of $27,061.62. And the central admin portion of pre-con services for Newfield valued at $1,263.85. Total invoices to be processed tonight, $59,875.47. Yes, 6380. No. No, that was I believe all the testing itself. It would be after that. Was that the June action?
My mind does the same thing. I always touch a screen. I'm like, why is? Oh yeah, I don't have a computer that does it. All right, so let's.
So it appears that the action in June was to approve the soil testing, which was around 25 grand.
Yeah, not the. What's this other one then? The 6,000 is for the.
This is the soil management plan. Now
management plan.
dealing with what we found.
What we found. Okay.
And that's $6,380 in total.
So we had then in August 30th, new business review, new material recommendations with possible action to approve.
Was approved by
I don't think we actually.
PE
approved it.
presented it like a day or two after the meeting, and then because it was kind of time sensitive, I believe it got approved via email, not at a formal
not at the meeting. Okay.
meeting.
All right, so we'll approve it again.
Okay, then, and based on that, it was due to the smaller value of it, it was approved by email, so we just want to get it into the minutes for the record, for accounting purposes. So if there could
And that
be a
wouldn't
mo-
follow the new process thing that we got going on.
So if we could have a motion to affirm the email approval of the soil management plan fee totaling $6,380 to Perkins.
So remind me again, for future small change orders, will we still approve them, like as a big collection of them?
Even if they're approved through the change order process, they come back to you so that they're
Okay.
part of the minutes for the
Part of the
official
minutes.
record.
Got it. All right, let's do that first. So I'll take a motion to approve the soil management plan in the total of $6,380.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. And I'll take a motion to approve the $59,875.47 per the invoices in the back of this presentation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you, Blaze. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Very good. I think that's it. Is that it for you, Jack? All right. Any other comments, updates, announcements from anyone? This might be the record shortest meeting we've ever had.